After a discarded visor tear-off got lodged in Charles Leclerc's brake duct during the Belgian Grand Prix, the Formula One driver said the sport has to find a better solution for the problem. How exactly did this come about? How did he arrive at such a conclusion? Stay tuned as we unravel this issue. So, why does Charles Leclerc want F1 rules changed regarding visor tear-offs? Let's check into it. During the opening lap at Spa-Francorchamps, the Ferrari driver was dueling with title rival Max Verstappen when a tear-off from the Dutchman became lodged in his right front brake duct. This caused the brake temperatures to rise, necessitating an early pit stop to remove it, putting him out of sync with the rest of the field in terms of strategy. After driving through a series of tear-offs on the first lap as cars attempted to clean the fluids thrown up by Lewis Hamilton's wrecked Mercedes, Leclerc felt the incident should be investigated to prevent future difficulties. He proposes that drivers be compelled to keep their tear-offs inside the car, as they were asked to do some years ago during an earlier attempt to eliminate the problem of their being lodged in automobile parts. When asked about the scenario, he replied, "I believe maybe moving forward, it will be beneficial that we maybe find a method to keep the tear-off inside the automobile. In this case, I believe someone was losing oil or something. The drivers in front of me couldn't see anything through their visors, and I couldn't see anything through mine. So, at the first chance, we had to remove the tear-off, which happened to be on this straight. I found myself with tear-offs flying all over the place, and as a driver, you can't do much about it. I'm not mad at Max, and it's not the responsibility of the drivers, but we might look at anything to keep the tear-off someplace in the car." Moving on, more specifics on Charles Leclerc claim. According to the FIA, throwing tear-offs onto the track is against the regulations. The International Sporting Code includes this regulation. According to Article 1.3 of Chapter 3 of Appendix L of the ISC, any tear-offs attached to visors may not be thrown into the track or pit lane without justification. The FIA launched a campaign in 2016 to fully enforce the rule, which requires drivers to preserve any abandoned rip-offs within the cockpit. This limitation was first imposed in 1998. However, in reaction to complaints from other drivers, Formula One race director Charlie Whiting stated that drivers risked a greater risk by attempting to keep their rip-offs inside the car rather than throwing them out. Because this was the case, the plan was scrapped. When queried about the old regulation, Leclerc replied, "I imagine there were reasons this rule was removed, but I'm unaware of them. However, there are probably other options." Moving on, after losing to Verstappen in the Dutch Grand Prix, Leclerc says the title is looking difficult. Following his humiliating defeat at the hands of Max Verstappen at the Dutch Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc expressed his belief that it would be tough for him to win his first world championship. While he maintained contact with the local crowd's favorite Verstappen during the first stint on the soft tires, he eventually fell behind and slipped to fourth place. However, a late pit stop for fresh rubber allowed him to pass Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton and claim the last podium slot. Leclerc is currently 109 points behind the Red Bull driver, with only 7 races left in the season due to Verstappen's triumph. This is Verstappen's 10th victory out of the 15 races this year. If things go Verstappen's way in Italy, he will have a mathematical chance to defend his championship in the 2 races that take place in Japan. Leclerc, who finished on the podium for the second time in 10 races, stated that the Red Bull is the car with the highest top speed, particularly in terms of race pace. "If I had to guess, I'd say we have a good chance of qualifying. It looked like Mercedes had also gained some performance in terms of racing pace. Therefore, it is looking difficult to win the title." Although early projections showed that Mercedes would be much more than a second behind the pace, their pace on the hard compound tire was swift, which hauled them into a window that made them quicker than Ferrari around Zandvoort in terms of pure performance. Following that, Russell believes Mercedes would have contended for victory without VSC after finishing second in the Dutch GP. Russell qualified 6th on the medium tire and advanced to second in the first stint as he and teammate Hamilton attempted to make the one-stop plan work. Both drivers then pitted for the hard tire and were making their way through the field until boxing again for the mediums under the virtual safety car, which was prompted by Yuki Tsunoda halting on track. After a safety car was deployed due to Valtteri Bottas's mechanical failure on the main straight, Russell ran second behind Hamilton as Verstappen pitted for the soft tire. However, Russell chose to pit for the smooth as well, giving him a tire advantage that allowed him to pass Hamilton for a second. On the other hand, the Mercedes driver thought the first virtual safety car had lost the team a possible victory. When questioned if Mercedes could have won without the VSC, Russell stated, "I genuinely think we could have. We lost a lot of time at the start, and we eventually lost a lot of race time after a horrible qualifying. I don't see why we wouldn't have competed for victory if we had been close to Max after stint 1. What we're exhibiting as a team is positive and bodes well for the rest of the season." Despite gaining track position on Verstappen, who had previously pitted for the same compound, Russell was heard on the radio asking his crew to pit for the soft tire under the safety car. Next up, Max Verstappen and Christian Horner respond to Mercedes' contentious strategy decision. Mercedes' late race strategy changes at the Dutch GP astonished Red Bull team principal Christian Horner, despite Max Verstappen saying he would have won the race anyway. Verstappen increased his world championship lead to 109 points after beating Lewis Hamilton in in a thrilling race that saw a virtual and full safety car change strategy in the closing stages. Hamilton and George Russell were ahead of Verstappen when the Dutchman pitted from the lead for soft tires when Valtteri Bottas deployed the safety car, but Russell subsequently pitted as well, leaving Hamilton exposed on his older medium tires. At the restart, Verstappen quickly passed Hamilton before Russell and Charles Leclerc, who was also on fresh softs, slipped past the Briton, leaving him in 4th place. You've got your home driver leading in front of 105,000 people, and you put him on soft tires and lose track position behind 2 Mercedes, Horner explained. I was astonished that they didn't leave George out as a backup gunner for Lewis. When he pitted, that gave Max and Lewis a direct flight with a tire offset. By the time they passed us on the pit wall, Max was already alongside, and it was just a matter of managing the race from there. Russell seemed to persuade Mercedes to let him stop over team radio, but Hamilton reacted angrily during the race before apologizing to his team afterwards. Finally, after the Dutch GP blunder, Ferrari boss Mattia Binotto responds to Nico Rosberg's F3 strategy jibe. In reaction to Nico Rosberg's harsh criticism of their strategy, Ferrari chief Mattia Binotto has defended his squad, stating they would not make personnel changes while acknowledging their recent failure was a mess. Ferrari forced Carlos Sainz to a 12-second pit stop early in the race and then unsafely released the Spaniard later on, resulting in a 5-second penalty in the 14th race in a season littered with strategy blunders. Following the race, Sky Sports F1 analyst and 2016 world champion Nico Rosberg stated that the team needed to make adjustments and that even Formula 2 or Formula 3 teams do a better job with their strategy. We will not alter anybody. That's a direct response to Rosberg, Binotto said when informed of Rosberg's statements. What is more crucial is simply staying stable and improving race after race. I have no doubt that we have a fantastic team. Ferrari did not appear to be prepared for Sainz's stop on lap 12, and he was detained in the pits for significantly longer than planned. Sergio Perez then ran over the Ferrari team's wheel cannon. Binotto told Sky Sports F1 on the pit wall that the strategy was a mess due to a very late call to pit. Lewis Hamilton was getting ready for the undercut, he explained later. We had no time to respond since the call came too late. I'm confident we can do better in the future. That is less important to me than the speed of the automobile. Well, that marks the end of our video for today. We hope you enjoyed it. On your way out, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.